Okay, here's a quick little cereal. It's time to get rolling. It's Thursday, so Thursday's crew is here. We all now know why we are here. It's time to pick up on that tragedy slash mess that we left off on tragically. Yeah, uh, it's gonna be quite a continuation today. It might be a rough one. Um, we'll see. We'll see. Let's take a look. Today we will take a look. Small recap. For those who either weren't there or don't remember, um, the family has found the other family that they thought just went on a walk, um, completely desecrated and a pile of bodies in the shed. And it is to be believed that the demon roulette has chosen them as the first sacrifices for first Twilight. So I mean, as everybody is completely in shock and just a complete mess, uh, especially Jessica in Battler, and it's time to figure out where to go from here. So, shall we?
倒れているのはクラウスおじさん、ルドルフおじさん、キリエおばさんにローザおばさん、ゴーダさんで5人。
Oh right, that's gonna be a tough pill to swallow.
いや、
Yeah, no, buddy. You gotta know.
6人や。ここにもう一人おる。
Yeah, we're gonna have to address that elephant together, bud. We will address that elephant together. It's okay. As a chat, as a community. Umi Peak. Oh, shit. Hold on. I forgot my package. One second. Sorry about that. Okay, while I was snapping. Okay. The body Hideyoshi was looking down on now happened to be hidden among the shadows in that mountain range of objects. In a blind spot to George, who stood by the entrance. So, George couldn't tell whose body it was. So, George cursed himself. He cursed the fact that his worst guesses always turned out to be right.
じゃあ
I'm so incredibly sorry for your loss. The timing couldn't have been any worse.
お父さんの足元に倒れているのはシャノンなんだね。
So this is the one person I had begged and pleaded Beatrice to spare. Pleaded. Seriously, could have taken anyone else but her.
ああ、シャノンちゃんや。
What was that? Oh, was that Lord? That just updated? Oh no. Is this the theme you play before someone absolutely loses their shit? I'm scared. George fell completely silent. He shook slightly, his lower lip trembling. Normally, he would have wanted to run to his beloved's body, screaming and crying. However, before rashly rushing forward, he worked to keep his composure and asked for his father. Or asked his father.
シャノンもクラウスおじさんたちと同じなのかな。
Hideyoshi deeply understood the meaning of those words, so he couldn't give George an immediate answer. Or rather, he felt that silence was the only sincere and loving response he could give George right now. When George asked if Shannon was the same, he meant to ask whether her corpse was in the same condition as the others or not. Since Hideyoshi hadn't denied it, it meant her corpse was in the same brutal state. Don't. Dude, just don't, George.
見てもいいかな。
Come on, man. I wouldn't do it.
いや、あかん。
Yeah. I think that's for the best.
どうして？だって、もう二度とシャノンの顔を見られないんだよ。
Just you won't remember it.
その最後の顔。どうして見たらいけないんだよ。
お前が最後にシャノンちゃんに会ったのは昨日か。
うん。
そうか。そのシャノンちゃんは別れ際にお前にどんな顔を見せたんや。
素敵な
Oh,
笑顔だったよ。
there it is. Yeah. After he handed her the ring, she hesitated, even though she must have already made up her mind. Then she looked bashful. It ran away because she was embarrassed to let him see her face looking like that. That's the expression that was revived in George's mind.
そうか。ならシャノンちゃんもその笑顔をお前に残したいと願うはずや。
Yeah, I agree. Hideyoshi looked down upon Shannon's body laying at his feet. Just like the other bodies, it was in such a horrible state that it'd make anyone want to cover their eyes. I'm once again extremely thankful that they didn't make a sprite for these. Her head had been smashed in from the side, and no more than half her expression remained. If the remaining blood-soaked half of her expression had been wiped clean, would that graceful smile of hers have peeked out? But only half of it. Without thinking, Hideyoshi slapped his hands over his eyes. How brutal. If her face is going to be crushed anyway, then if only all of it had been crushed, he might have been able to temporarily distract George from his pain by making a pathetic suggestion that it was someone else wearing Shannon's clothes. But half of her face had been left untouched. It caused the body so much humiliation, while still proving beyond the doubt that the body was Shannon's and no one else's. How inhuman. How brutish. And there, trying his best to burn the image of the remaining half of Shannon's expression into his eyes, as she lay at Hideyoshi's feet, was Kanon. Kanon was not crying. Tears had risen to his eyes, but they did not drip down. But that didn't mean he wasn't feeling as much sadness as everyone else. Losing Shannon, who had lived with him in the same orphanage, he had loved as a sister, must have been just the same as losing a blood relative.
ジョージ、シャノンちゃんはきっとありがとう言ってるぞ。お前に恥ずかしいところを見られとうなかったんや。きっとお前が耐えてくれたこと感謝しとるで。
分かってる。分かってるよ、父さん。分かってるよ。
George leaned against the outside wall of the storehouse, crouching down limply.
父さん、頼みがあるんだ。
なんや。
僕の代わりに見てほしいんだ。シャノンは指に指輪をつけてるかな。
指輪？ちょいと見てみる。
Even just partially showing the maid sprite hurts. That hurts. Hideyoshi crouched down. As he did, Kanon silently pointed to one of Shannon's hands.
ああ。あるで。これはダイヤの指輪や。クズダイヤとちゃう。
Now is definitely not the time. Anyways.
なかなかの値打ちもんや。
それはどっちの手のどの指にあるのかな。
と、左手の薬指や。そっか。シャノンちゃん。婚約しとったんか。
ジョージ、あなた、まさか。
They immediately put two and two together.
エヴァ、今はそんなん関係ないで。シャノンちゃんは男に将来を約束されとったんや。一生を幸せにしちゃると男に言わせたんや。それが誰かは問題とちゃうで。男にそこまで言わしめて、女の本懐やないか。いつこの指輪をもらったんかは知らん。誰が渡したかも知らん。だが、それでもシャノンちゃんは指輪をもらえたんや。そしてそれを受け入れ、左の薬指に通したんや。指輪を送った男もきっと喜んだんとちゃうか。
Most of the people there, Hideyoshi was simply disturbed by this extraordinary situation and was blurting out nonsense. However, someone who knew of George and Shannon's true relationship wanted to understand the full meaning of those words.
そっか。ありがとう。
I'm so sorry, my goat. I really wish it wasn't true. Oh.
父さん。
George stood up. The traces of tears still streaked his face, but his expression returned to its usual calm one.
行こう。
Instantly locked in. I would not be able to do that.
バトラ君、ジェシカちゃん、
That's crazy.
これ以上僕たちがここにいると大人の邪魔になる。
そうだな。
Jessica sniffled once, showing her face to her mother, who had been holding her the whole time, to let her know that she was okay now. When she faced George again, she once again had on her usual expression. Although she couldn't smile.
バトラー、しっかり。
Battler kept on crouching in front of his parents' bodies.
すまねえな。がっつり泣いたら落ち着いたぜ。親父の野郎、普段はクソクソ言ってるくせにちょっ
と死んじまったくらいでピーピー泣くんじゃねえぜって笑ってやがれ。仕方ねえだろ。親が死んだら泣くように遺伝子すり込まれちまってたからよ。
That's just the normal human gene. That's in everybody. Adler's face was still bright red from the tears, but he had at least recovered enough to fake a smile, if only a bitter one.
カノン、お前もこれ以上ここにいてはいけません。子供たちを連れてお屋敷に戻っていなさい。
Natsuki had been standing under the rain this whole time, unable to take a step into the storehouse. Maybe she had her own way of grieving, different from Badler's. Realizing that she had to take on a role of responsibility now that her husband was dead, she gave Kanon those orders.
はい。奥様。
Kanon rose silently and turned to face me. His face was pure white, almost as though his own heart had died along with Shannon. And there was no life in his expression. On an ordinary day, if he had been told to guide the children through the beautiful rose garden, Kanon might have led the way. But now, there was no distinction between Kanon and the children. They were now just kids of about the same age, suffering the pain of losing those close to them. After making sure that the children were leaving, Natsui started giving orders to Genji.
ケンジ、すぐに警察に連絡しなさい。台風が通り過ぎるまでは来られないでしょうが、どうすればいいか指示を与えてくれるはずです。
わかりました。防災用の無線機がありますので、それで連絡します。
When she heard that, Natsu remembered. That's right. Phones were out today, weren't they? However, they also had a radio, since they couldn't necessarily rely on phones all the time while living on an isolated island. At any rate, they should start by contacting the police and receiving their instructions. Everything else could wait.
ナチョ先生、もうこの場はどうしようもありませんか。
残念ながら私には何もできませんな。
わかりました。
Oh boy. This OST is not exactly helping.
源氏、せめて主人たちの顔を何かで覆ってやることはできませんか？
They picked a good one. They really picked a good one.
このような姿を晒すことは当人にとっても
And
屈辱的でしょうか？
mainly good as in isn't fitting. Obviously, there's nothing good about it. It's just they picked a really fitting one.
はい
Genji picked up several dried up towels from inside the storehouse. When Eva stopped him with a shrill voice.
ちょっとちょっとお待ちなさいよ。
I was not expecting a break in it.
ここは犯行現場なんでしょ？
Oh, okay. She makes a good point.
なら変に手を加えちゃダメよ。私たちは混乱してて現場に土足で踏み入っちゃったけど、それはきっと警察の捜査の邪魔になったわよ。
Fuck, Mary, kill Eva, and not say Rosa. I don't know. I'll have to think on that one. I'll have to come back to it. I especially can't think about it in this sense at the moment. Natsui glared at Eva, offended. Objectively speaking, Eva was right. I mean, she is. Even so, she glared at Eva as though accusing her of refusing to do those tragic corpses, which had been humiliated even after death. The simple kindness of covering their faces. However, Eva had spoken both calmly and correctly. This horrible situation definitely wasn't an accident. It was a crime. Someone killed them. It was a murder case. So they needed to be careful to avoid disturbing the site any further. They had to do what little they could to aid the police, preserving clues that might help catch the detestable culprit.
私もエヴァさんに賛成ですな。警察が来るまでここは手をつけずにしておくべきです。
奥様いかがなさいますか？
I would listen to Eva. I would listen to Eva. I'm just saying.
そうですね。 Okay. わかりました。ここを閉ざしなさい。それから念のためここに別の施錠をするように。
別の施錠？
Fuck him in rad.
ええ。ここに来た時、シャッターの鍵は閉じていました。ということは、 シャッターの鍵を使い犯人が施錠したということです。
確かに通りや。
Oh, it's back to the mystery OST. Kind of thank God, because that other OST had me in a chokehold. I'm not gonna lie.
じゃあここを開けた限り犯人の指紋が残ってるんとちゃうんか。
警察に証拠として提出する価値はあるでしょうけど、カノン君が普通に持ってここを開けるのに使用しちゃったわ。多分カノン君の指紋も付着しちゃってるわよ。
Oh, unfortunate timing.
そしてその鍵はさっき源氏さんに手渡され、源氏さんも素手で受け取ってる。大した証拠にはなりそうにないわね。
それは不用心でした。申し訳ございません。
I mean, to be fair, a lot of us were not thinking about it as a crime scene at first, so I can't really blame him, or Canon, or anybody.
源氏さん、この倉庫の鍵は他にもあるんか？
いいえ、この一つだけです。
ということは犯人はその鍵を使用人室から持ち出し、そして律儀に元の場所に戻したちゅうことになるな。
Oh, it's a special diagram. Hideyoshi's theory sounded plausible, but was actually very strange if you thought about it. Why would they go through all the trouble of returning a key they stole? No. If you think about it even more deeply, there are some points that are even more bizarre. When a criminal hides a body, they're usually trying to delay the point at which it'll be found, so they can use that time to escape. Excuse me. The six weren't necessarily killed here, but it was responsible to assume that they were killed somewhere on this island, carried to this storehouse, and hidden to delay the discovery of the crime. And yet, the eerie magic circle scribbled on the storehouse shutter had eloquently indicated the location of the hidden corpses. Sure, it didn't explicitly mention the corpses, but 6 people had gone missing. In that situation, someone had made such an obvious piece of graffiti and even returned the key to the shutter. Almost as though they wanted the corpses here to be discovered.
とにかく一度は犯人が開け閉めをした施錠だけでは信用できません。犯人の手からもこの場所を保護する意味で施錠を新たにしたいと言っているのです。
Yeah, that's still a good move. That's still a good move regardless.
いい案だと思います。私も賛成です。
Genji fished around the inside of the storehouse and unsealed a brand new padlock that had been inside a small box.
鍵はどうなさいますか？
私が持ちましょう。責任を持って警察に手渡します。
That's where he took the key to the padlock from Genji's hand. After that, they all exited and lowered the shutter. And so, the corpses were once again sealed behind that shutter. which was still covered with that creepy magic circle. Genji crouched down in front of the shutter to fasten the new padlock. Shutters often have a place in front where you can attach your own lock in addition to the main lock of the shutter. This is one of those types. In the midst of the roar of thunder and the pouring rain, the storehouse stood there ominously. With its closed shutters still covered in a blood-like, creepy substance, it swallowed up the bodies of the six. To Natsui, putting the new lock on was mainly to preserve the scene for the police. She might have felt like she wanted to shut that mouth for all eternity, to prevent that eerie beast from swallowing up any more victims.
さあ行きましょう皆さん。南條先生、ご足労をありがとうございました。源氏は急いで警察に連絡を。
How do you get through something like this?
戻りましたらすぐに連絡します。
If I remember correctly, they still haven't even investigated the door with the blood on it either. I think he might have already cleaned it. The adults left the storehouse. That ghastly magic circle drawn on the shutter kept the six bodies in its throat, looming eerily as the lightning occasionally lit it up. I still don't even know what it means. Also, still need to see Kinzo's reaction as well, but he might already know. I feel like he probably has an idea. Oh man. Oh man. I was so happy I forgot about this. All that could be heard was the sound of the rain, the voices from the kids' TV program Maria was watching. And the engrossed Maria's cackling voice. In other words, what greeted them as they returned dumbfounded from that horrible, bizarre scene was the voice of Maria as she rolled around laughing at the TV. Those who returned to the room didn't know how to explain to Maria that her mother was dead and were trapped by a suffocating silence. At first, Maria returned their stares with a dubious look. But when she realized that they weren't trying to blame her for anything, she ignored them and again immersed herself in the TV program. Christ. What are they gonna do? The children wordlessly sat down heavily on the sofa. Their minds were probably blank from their state of shock. Everyone had already cried and mourned so much, but now they just vaguely sat there, their faces seeming to have lost all emotion. Only Cannon had returned to his usual calm expression. However, that probably didn't mean he'd be able to wipe out the shock. Nothing was reflected in his eyes as he stared into empty space. Hideyoshi kept on fidgeting, and every time he remembered that horrible scene, he started muttering about how he couldn't believe it. how it couldn't have been something from this world, how it must have been the work of demons. Every now and then, his mutterings produced a question, directed at Nanjo. But the latter kept repeating in a calm, doctor-like manner that nothing could be understood by only glancing at the scene. And that until the police arrived, they wouldn't learn anything. However, Nanjo only appeared calm next to Hideyoshi, who simply couldn't suppress his agitation and fear. In fact, Nanjo had also received a huge shock, and his face was deathly pale. Maybe that atmosphere was why she tried to rise to the challenge to take charge. Natsui appeared to be unchanged from her normal attitude. How the hell did they do it? Kana I can kind of understand because he's been a butler slash servant for like all his life, but like the rest of these people don't see themselves as furniture, yet they almost instantly locked back in. I'd be destroyed if I went through what they did. But she briskly gave directions.
私はお父様のところへ行ってきます。源氏は急ぎ警察へ連絡を。
かしこまりました。
私も一緒させていただいていいかしら、夏日姉さん。クラウス兄さんがいなくなった以上、お父様の補佐は私の仕事だもの。その私が夏日姉さんに任せっきりで、ここでくつろいでいるわけにはいかないわ。
Even in a time like this, she still finds a way to be coy. Natsui was struck speechless by Eva's aggressive move in a situation like this. She seemed to be claiming that, with Kraus dead, the one to take responsibility shouldn't be his own wife. No, it should be herself. The next highly ranked in the family. The audacity of this bitch, exactly. Like there's a time and a place for everything, right? And I don't think right now is the time to pull rank like this. This just proves that she has no bounds. Or maybe she hadn't been at all happy when Natsui took command without reference to her in such an extreme situation. However, even Eva's mind had been blank from shock a moment ago. She only came to her senses after Natsui started giving orders. Natsui started walking without saying a word more. Yeah, honestly, there's times where you just like you don't even have to entertain it, especially after what they just went through. I actually applauded for that. I think that was the right move. She started walking away without saying a word more. Eva followed behind her. As they did, Kumasawa ran into the parlor. Oh, she about to blurt it out? She usually wasn't the kind of person to run around, so under normal conditions, most people would have taken her entrance as a sign that something was the matter. But because everyone was still stricken with shock, they hardly even noticed her.
奥様
夏日姉さんならお父さんのところへ行ったで。すぐ戻ってくるやろ。
Is she just now finding out?
どないしたんや、熊沢さん。
Or is this something different?
それが食堂に 血が血が
Oh. The ears of everyone in the parlor twitched. Everyone thought the same thing. I hope I misheard that. Any container can only hold so much. And no one here would be capable of handling yet another tragedy. Yeah, I'm still recovering. I definitely would be able to. So they all thought it. I hope I misheard that.
なんやて食堂
In the dining hall, though?
朝食の準備に食堂に配膳に行ったら
The first one to start running was George? Oh, I was not expecting that. His harsh footsteps jogged Hideyoshi and Nanjo to their senses, and they chased after him. Battler and the others followed. Who's left? Wait. Lost Shannon and Goda, but still have Genji and Cannon. Okay, and then Kumasawa. Wait. That's interesting. Okay. They flew into the dining hall one after another, but they didn't find any change that might have caused Kumasawa to go pale. To those who had viewed that gruesome scene in the storehouse, it was a bit of an anticlimax. However, Kumasawa, who had followed them, pointed it out. There really were some traces of blood remaining on the floor. Compared to that terrible scene, it wasn't very impressive. However, if you calmly thought about it, this definitely indicated the loss of a lot of blood.
ここにも血だまりがあるよ。これは一体
Oh, I just noticed that the glasses aren't completely whited out. You can actually still see his eyes. I just thought they were completely covered.
だいぶ時間が経っているように見えますな。おそらく昨べここで殺されたんだと見ていいでしょう。そういうことになるんやろな。
So here first, and then dragged to the storehouse without a trail of blood, and just ended up there?
わしらは昨べずっと食堂で話し合いをしとった。そしてここに何者かが押し入ったに違いない。
父さんたちが打ち合わせを抜けて休んだのは何時だっけ？
昨夜の24時を少し過ぎたくらいの頃や。だからその後にと考えるんが妥当やろな。
マジかよ。勘弁してくれよ。お嬢様、しっかり。
What could possibly be so funny?
俺はもうさっきの倉庫でこの世の地獄ってやつを拝んじまったから今さらこのくらいじゃ答え。
そうか。
Oh, I see.
よかったな。私は頭がどうにかなっちまいそうだぜ。ここは食堂だぜ。私は毎日ここで食事をして学校のことをぼやいたり宿題のことをぼやいたり。
Yeah, family dinners are definitely gonna hit differently after this.
親父に学校の成績の話をされたり、そういうところなんだぜ。お嬢様、これ以上 ここにいるのはよくありません。100万へ戻りましょう。
俺も同感さ。秀吉おじさん、この部屋は多分警察にとって重要な意味があると思います。俺たちが踏み荒らしちまうのはまずいんじゃないですか。
Two crime scenes. Battler proposed this in a slightly firm voice as, along with Cannon, he grabbed the pale and shaking Jessica's shoulders.
バトラさんの言う通りですな。この部屋にこれ以上好んで居続けることはありますまい。
Najo spoke while looking at everyone's pale faces. Even though that horrible scene in the storehouse felt like something not of this world, at least then we'd be able to leave, cut ourselves off from that place and run away. Everyone has shared that feeling. However, this dining hall was different. It was in the mansion, the main building on this estate. And as Jessica had said, it should have been one of the most calming places even inside the mansion. It was where all the relatives had eaten lunch and dinner yesterday. The shock of seeing this place smeared with blood reminded us of that horrible spectacle in this storehouse. It forced us to accept that we hadn't really been able to run away from the scene of that tragedy.
うん。わしも同感や。この部屋には犯人の痕跡が残ってるかもわからんしな。素人のわしらがかき回すべきとちゃうで。はよ出るんや。はよはよ。
Hideyoshi also understood the meaning of what Battler had said, pushed everyone to hurry out of the dining hall. The way we were then, looking at that blood any longer would have been too harsh. Nobody went against his words. Everyone raced each other out of the dining hall. It was almost as though the last person in the room would be trapped in there, all alone. Goodness. Once in the hallway, we lent a hand to Kumasawa, who was still trembling and leaning against the wall, and we all headed back to the parlor together. Then Genji returned.
お、源氏さん。警察に連絡はつきましたか。
それが申し訳ございません。
Oh, we're back to this. I wonder why.
無線機の故障か、それ以外の理由によるものかわかりませんが。
なんや、警察に連絡がつかんのか。電話も無線もどっちもダメなんか。
申し訳ございません。
How strange for both to be exactly not working at the same time.
月曜の朝に船が来ることになっていますので、その船の通信機を借りることができると思います。
この島には船はないんか。新島の警察署までちょっくら行ってくることはできんのか。秀吉さん、この天気では無理だ。少なくとも 台風が通り過ぎるまではどうにもなりません。
Yeah, no, that's like essentially asking for it.
クラウス様のボートは今修理中で島にございません。ですので月曜の船を待つほかないかと。
そんなアホな話があるか。6人も死んだんやで。そして電話も無線も通じず、船もない。
You could almost say it's the perfect storm.
台風が過ぎて船が来るまで、つまり明日の朝までわしらは警察にも連絡できず、この島におれっちゅうことなんか。
ってことはつまり俺たちだけじゃなくおじさんたちを殺した犯人もこの島から出られず足止めってことだな。
Wonder how long it's gonna take before they start turning on each other.
そういうことになるね。みんなを殺した犯人はまだこの島にいる。
親父たちを殺した奴はこの島から逃げ出せずまだ潜んでやがるってことかよ。くそくそくそくそ、見つけ出してやるぜ。警察になんか引き渡すもんか。私がこの手でやっ先にしてやる。
Easy, Tiger. Oh fuck. Yeah, she's still in the room, isn't she? Now how do you explain it? Mia finally realized that something odd was happening in the parlor. Rather than noticing something odd, it was probably better to say she felt unhappy and neglected, since everyone was getting so excited about something only she didn't know about.
ジェシカお姉ちゃん、誰か死んじゃったの？
You can just say that with a smile? The way she spoke was completely calm. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Just as though she was talking about someone who had appeared on a television drama, as though it was someone else's problem. Jessica probably didn't like that. As though trying to say, can't you just tell by looking at me, overwhelmed with grief, she flared up at Maria. Oh, goodness.
死んじまったぜ。みんな
Okay. We're really just gonna do it like that. Oh, God damn it. Come on, Jessica. Really?
私の親父もトトラの父さんと母さんも幸田さんもシャノンも。
That's it? They just... We're just laying it on there like that. Okay. Alright.
そしてマリアの母さんも。
Yep, right to the 9-year-old's face. Yeah, yeah. That, couldn't have been executed any better. You're right, you're right. You're right.
よすんだジェシカちゃん。
It's too late now. It's out there.
悲しいのは君だけじゃない。
マリアさん、ショックだろうが聞いてください。あなたのお母さんがな、死んでしまいました。
ママが死んじゃった？
ああ、誰かに殺されちまった。
Alright, well, congratulations, Maria. You are with the adults today.
悲しいだろうがよ。心をしっかり。
Time to just magically grow the fuck up.
何人？
How many? That's your reaction?
死んじゃった？
6人だぜ。 人だ。くそくそくそ。あんな残酷なことしやがって。踊ってもんがあるだろうがよ。人間ならよ。誰だか知らねえが、犯人は人間じゃねえぜ。
And this is why Hideyoshi thinks it's demons.
血の色が赤いわけがねえ。
犯人は人間じゃない。
She knows? Wait,
鍵が選んだ生贄なだけ。
what the fuck? Wait, what? It's just the blank chosen by the blank. Wait, what? What does that mean?
おい、マリア。今、
Why did
なん
they
て言っ
censor
た？
that? And what was that supposed to be? For me, it just said something. But since the words were so remotely separated from the flow and context of the conversation, I couldn't understand them for a second. When I tried to ask her to repeat it again, I was shocked by the sudden sound of Aunt Natsue's loud voice coming from the entrance to the parlor. It looked like Aunt Natsue and Aunt Niwa had returned from their trip to see grandfather.
無線でも連絡できない？こんな時に使えなくて何のための防災無線ですか？
申し訳ございません。毎年保守点検はさせているはずなのですが。
Did that not happen?
ほら、光をチカチカさせるみたいな船舶信号ってあるじゃない？そういうので向こうの島に連絡することはできないのかしら？
Who lives on the next fucking island?
そのような設備はございません。申し訳ございません。
Just then, Kumasawa arrived, pushing a serving cart loaded with breakfast. At a time like this? Since there was no way we'd be able to eat in the dining hall, Hideyoshi had ordered her to take it to the parlor. Alright, fair enough.
なぜ朝食をこちらに？
Oh, that's right.
ああ、夏木さん、それは後で話す。それよりエヴァ、お父さんはどうなんや？
It's a good question.
ご一緒でないところを見ると、このような事態になっても部屋から出ませんか？
It seems he has continued to, not give a fuck.
いないわ。
Oh, that's different.
部屋は空っぽだったのよ。
Wait, what? And they did the sound. Wait, what the fuck?
なんやて？
What is this? Wait, what is... I've not heard this one yet. What the fuck? Did he ascend to godhood or some shit?
こんな時にどこ行ったんや？
親方様が書斎を出られたというのですか？そうです。私も驚いています。いつの間に部屋を出たのやら。あなたたちに心当たりはないのですか？
Natsui looked at Genji and Kanin as she said this. Maybe she was trying to ask whether the servants who served directly under the one-winged eagle, dude, I don't know why I almost said angel, knew of a place he might go. However, it was probably the other way around. Their faces made it clear that those who knew Kinzo best realized even more than the rest how impossible it was for him to leave his room. Not only that, but to leave his room without anybody, like, knowing or seeing a trace of where he went. Unless he has, like, some sort of secret compartment in his study that nobody knew about. And he's just chilling.
僕たちにも見当がつきません。
ご存知の通り、親方様はあの書斎の中にお休みの場所からご不浄まで全てを設けさせました。
Right.
親方様があの部屋をお出になることなどよっぽどのことがない限り考えられません。
となると、なんや。
You said peep the roster? Like the current roster? Oh, wait, what? The fuck? Yeah, Kenzo's gone. Wait, he's like faded out. But he's not dead. Disappeared from his study unnoticed. Kenzo's study had everything from a bed to a toilet to a bathtub, so it is extremely rare for him to go outside. However, he does not occasionally go out for a walk on a whim without telling anybody, and his disappearance invariably leads to a huge uproar throughout the house. He usually comes back as soon as he gets hungry. Usually. Huh. Okay. Shit, I didn't know. Oh, that's what that sound effect was. They updated his spray. Oh, okay. So that's what that shit means.
そのよっぽどのことがあったって考えるのが自然だっちゅうことになるんか。
まだそうと決まったわけではありません。
Yeah, funny noise. Okay, that's a roster update. Alright, I got it.
とにかく気まぐれな方ですから。現状をご存知なく、お一人で散歩をされている可能性もあります。
That's what I'd like to think. Unless he just randomly took a trip to the Golden Land and didn't tell anybody.
仮にそうだとしたら、一刻も早く現状をお知らせして、ご指示を仰がねばなりません。
そうね。考えたくはないけど、お父様の身に何かあったのかもしれないしね。
I'd like to think that for someone who originally only had months to live, he's probably gonna be one of the last motherfuckers to be alive in this situation. I feel like he's gonna be like the last to go now.
そのような不吉なことは考えたくもありません。
But as for the one who remains at the end of all the Twilights, I think it's gonna be Maria. I'd put 10 metric tons of gold bars on Maria. No one had seen Kinzo since the discovery of those 6 terrible corpses. On top of that, the phones were broken, the radio wouldn't reach anyone, and there was no way to contact the police. Apparently, the typhoon would leave tomorrow and a boat would come. But, until then, no one could really rely on anyone outside the island. Or could they escape it? Tragedy hit everyone so abruptly that they had lost all their composure. Everyone felt a heavy silence. Everyone was impatient. Even though they needed to do something, they couldn't think of anything. So, some of them held their hands in their arms while others got irritated. Right now, no one could explain what was occurring on this island, Rokenjima. Even if they could contact the police, how the fuck do you explain this? Like, hey, we're a family of people that meet once a year for a family conference at the same mansion, same place, same time, every year, but yet somehow randomly, a random person outside of our family or that we know about killed 6 of our family members without a fucking trace of how or where they came from. Privately owned island that only this family is supposed to know about. Yet 6 dead bodies that no one here claims to be the source of. I'm sure that's gonna go great. After that, we ate breakfast at Kumasawa-san in Maine, which had felt dry and tasteless. Of course, this was right after something like this had happened. You know, no one felt particularly hungry. However, we understood logically that not eating would weaken our bodies. It would also be rude to Kumasawa-san, who had made the breakfast. You know, kind of impromptu, since the actual breakfast guy is taking an extended vacation in the storehouse. Kumasawa-san had taken some unusual Western vegetables, ones that Goto-san had probably ordered for his ultra-elaborate meals, and cooked them in a Japanese style, which made them turn an unpleasant color. Now, as to what Goto-san had been planning to cook with those ingredients, right then, I couldn't even imagine. If I did think about it, be reminded of the way Goto-san died. A sour taste would fill the inside of my mouth. Everyone pretended to eat for the time being, but of course, no one makes much progress. Then, we began pooling our knowledge of our current situation. First, 6 people, which included Uncle Kraus, my dad, Kairi-san, Aunt Rosa, Goda-san and Shanin-shan, have been found in the Rose Garden storehouse as brutally mutilated corpses. And yet, we still couldn't contact the police, since both the phones and the radio were unusable. So, until the typhoon passed, there was nothing we could do. Furthermore, grandfather, who we might have hoped would be able to show a little leadership in this kind of situation, had disappeared some time ago. Goto-san hadn't made breakfast, so grandfather's stomach must have been empty. And if he had just been taking a casual walk, I could have been able to hear him whining about how hungry he was. Shit, even at a time like this, I could somehow still expect Kinzo to be genuinely hungry. Despite it, right? He hadn't appeared. Nope, just loose in the wind. You know, there was more than a small chance he had gotten up or gotten caught up in this crime. According to my aunts, on their way back to Kinzo's study, they had searched for him, calling out on every floor, but were unable to find him. Considering the timing of it all, it's only reasonable to assume that this disappearance had something to do with the crime. We figured Dad and the rest were probably killed in the dining hall and then painstakingly moved to the storehouse. So, maybe, grandfather has already been killed. Oh, we're gonna go there. Really? So the same culprit, right, who killed the other 6 family members, decided to just take care of Kinzo different and drag it to some strange place which we simply haven't discovered yet. No one actually said it out loud. This theory seemed extremely convincing. Really? It did?
私たちはお屋敷の戸締まりを確認してきます。
How do you jump to a thing like that? Like, wait, what?
お父様も念入りに探さなければなりません。子供たちはこの部屋を出ないように。
I don't know if I follow that.
エヴァさんと秀吉さんは申し訳ありませんが、ここで子供たちと一緒にいてください。南條先生もお願いいたします。
わかりました。ここでお待ちしています。
わかりました。After we follow the servants, Genji-san, Kumasawa-san, and Kanu-kun at the parlor. All that was left for Aunt Eva, Uncle Hideyoshi, Dr. Nanjo, and the four of his children was a total 7 people. How many goes on the next night? No, it's not how many. It's, what was it? 2 of the closest people will get torn apart? Hold on, what was it? Oops. Right. Those who remain will tear apart the 2. Okay. Those who remain will tear apart the 2 that are close. Still not quite sure who that pertains to. Only thing I can think of is that it might be talking about Hideyoshi and Eva? Because, like, well, they're not the only parents that remain, but they are the only parent couple still with each other. So, those who remain, the 7, will tear apart the 2 who are close? I feel like I might be still too early to really guess anything. I don't know.
みんなで仲良くテレビでも見て待ってよな。しかし日曜日の午前中はろくな番組やっとらへんな。
I would have thought it'd be the opposite. Sunday's the weekend when, like, normally nobody's working. It's the perfect time for cartoons. Okay, Hideyoshi started acting cheerfully, trying to brighten up this gloomy atmosphere. I appreciate that. Right after learning about her mother's death and explaining what happened to them. Just
ろくな番組見る見る。
good show. Jolly good show.
お、そうか。マリアちゃんはテレビ見るか。じゃ、おじさんと一緒に見ような。
Ryu was the only one who joined him. You know what? Just you do you. Yeah. Even though Maria had been told of her mother's death, she didn't show the slightest flicker of her emotions. That's what I just said. Yeah. Literally, this is right after she found out about all of them. And then calmly explained what happened. As if it was supposed to just make sense. Actually insane. Shit, was it really normal for a 9-year-old girl like Maria to act so much like a very young child? I mean, normally, it wouldn't, but come on, I mean, given this circumstances. Everyone else's mood failed to improve, and they each sank absent-mindedly into their sofas.
兄貴、聞いていいか。
なんだい。
さっき倉庫で 兄貴はシャノンちゃんの指輪の話をしたよな。あれ送ったのは兄貴か。
He didn't answer, but he hung his head and closed both of his eyes, which was just enough of an answer. That's a little below the belt right now. There could be no clearer response.
よせよパトラ、少しは察しろよ。
Like I understand that he was just asking it genuinely. I know he has like a pattern, you know, just a poke, but I know he meant to genuinely this time.
悪いことを聞いたぜ。
そうさ。
Don't bring it back, please. I was just getting over it. Don't do this to me. Don't do this to me. Not this, just not this fucking theme. Come on.
僕だよ。彼女に昨べ求婚したんだ。
I'm gonna try my best to stay strong this time.
その時指輪を渡した。明日になったらそれを好きな指にはめて返事としてくれって気ざったらしいことを言ってね。
I mean, it couldn't be pretentious, man. Nobody could have predicted this. Not even for someone as smart as him. You know, that ring had been on the ring finger of Shin and Chan's left hand.
私さ、数年前からシャドウに相談を受けてたぜ。ジョージ兄さんのことでさ。
なんて言ってたのかな。
シャノンは嘘をつくのが下手だったからよ。ジョージ兄さんのことを言ってるのはすぐにバレバレでさ。自分は使用人の身分だけど親しくしてもいいのだろうかとか、男の人の好きそうなものは何かとか、どういう服を着たら喜ぶかとか、そんなことをいろいろとさ。なんつうのか、そのまあ焼けたぜ。
それが婚約指輪を渡されて、おしまいかよ。
価値観は人それぞれだけどよ、男から求婚されるってのは人生の到達点なんだと思うんだよ。
Please, for the love of God, can we move on?
だからきっと昨夜のシャノンは心の底から、いや、生まれてから今までの中で一番幸せだったと思うぜ。
George Aniki sighed deeply without raising his head. Or maybe tears had risen to his eyes.
シャノンは昨夜ゲストハウスの当番だったらしいんだ。
Don't bring me this sprite again, man. I was so over this. I was so.
でもシャノンは僕と一緒にゲストハウスに帰るのを恥ずかしがってお屋敷に行ってしまった。
シャノンの気持ちを察しろよ。婚約指輪をもらえばどんなに予告されてたって普通は舞い上がっちまって頭は真っ白になっちまうぜ。気恥ずかしくて仕方なかったんだろうよ。
それでシャノンは当番でないはずのお屋敷へ行き、そこで郷田さんの仕事を手伝い、事件に巻き込まれてしまった。僕が
Don't do it, man.
あの日
Can't say stuff like that.
あの場所で指輪なんか渡さなければシャノンはサヨは
Everybody goes there, man. You can't do that to yourself.
事件に巻き込まれなかったんだ。
兄貴、
Fuck, I heard.
それだけは違うぜ。断じて違う。だからそれ以上泣くんじゃねえ。
Please.
バ
Please
トラ
let
君、
me be past this.
そっとしてあげなさい。
Yeah, I think that's best. After Aunt Eva said that, I stopped talking. Misplaced words of comfort might actually do more harm than good. Jessica sat down next to Aniki and took her arm. Maybe only Jessica, who had known about Aniki and Shannon's love since the beginning, who had even discussed that relationship with Shannon, could comfort Aniki now. I went over to Aunt Eva and sat down in the opposite sofa.
バトラ君は強いわね。もうだいぶしっかりしているように見えるわよ。
まあほら、愛の深さが傷の深さじゃないですか。
Damn, that's true. I gotta remember that.
俺は別にあんなクソ親父どうしのうが知ったことじゃないし。キリエさんは気の毒ですが、まあ本当の親ってわけじゃないですしね。
あら、という割にはさっきすっごく大泣きしてたわよ。
まあ育ての親に対する恩はあのくらい泣けば OK かと思いまして。
そのあたりの切り替えの速さやドライなあたりは本当にルドルフ譲りね。あの子は昔から激しく喜んだり悲しんだり怒ったりしたけれど、すぐにケロリと平静を取り戻したわ。
そんなことはないっすよ。俺だってまだまだ心のショックから立ち直れちゃいません。ただ俺がみんなと違うのは、それによってどういう感情が生み出されるかってことだと思います。
どういうこと？
Thing up. Oops. Oh, there we go. Right. What is this theme? Umi Thursdays, let's go. Yeah, we'll come back, Edwards. I've been acting much calmer than George, Aniki, and Jessica. That wasn't because my sadness was any less intense, or because I had already recovered. My sadness was simply getting replaced gradually with a different emotion.
悲しいっていうよりは腹立たしいって気持ちなんすよ。
Yeah, that's the Rudolph blood in him, for sure.
どこのドイツがこんなことをしやがったのか。横っ面に一発お見舞いしてやらないことには腹の虫が収まらねえんです。
That was what I really wanted to do. I couldn't forgive myself. I just sat there, overwhelmed with sadness and hugging my knees.
親父たちが殺されて以降、この島は台風に包まれたままです。つまりこれだけの上等を決めてくれやがった野郎はまだこの島の中にいるってことです。
Yes, that's the conclusion we've come to earlier.
そういうことになるわね。今も暗い森のどこかに身を潜めているのかしら。
I felt like I'd had a very similar conversation with Kairu-san the night before. He kind of, did. That's right. After the letter from the person claiming to be Beatrice appeared at the dinner table last night, we talked about whether or not a 19th person actually exists.
エヴァおばさん、この殺人、昨夜のベアトリーチェの手紙と何か関連があるんでしょうかね。
ああ、例の？さあ、どうかしらね。あの手紙はお父様が遺産問題に絡みたくて出した怪文書という見方で兄弟は一致したんだけれども、それと今朝の事件に関係があるかは今の段階では分かりかねるわね。
あの手紙、本当にベアトリーチェなんて魔女がマリアに渡したんすかね。
まさか。全部お父様の仕組んだ茶番でしょ。シャノンちゃんあたりに肖像画のドレスを着させてマリアちゃんを騙したんでしょ。
I think considering that she was amongst the no longer with us, we can put that aside. I'd like to think. I know that was the case before, but now that she's included with the victims, I mean, come on.
お父様らしい 手の込みすぎたいたずらだと思うけど。
ゆうべキリエさんとベアトリーチェは実在するんだろうかって話をしたんですけど、キリエさんも俺たち18人の中にベアトリーチェがいるだろうと言ってましたね。
そんなの当然じゃない。この島には私たちしかいないのよ。
How long are we gonna have to wait before they finally accept it? This is such an almost annoying amount of copium.
なら私たちの中の誰かがベアトリーチェを語ったに決まってるじゃない。
Not a goddamn drop of whimsy on this island.
この島には俺たち以外はいない。すか。
当然でしょ。私たち以外の誰がここにいるっていうの？この島には私たちしかいない。18人しかいない。
Oh, and they really think they have their sleuthing hats on right now too.
ならベアトリーチェを語るのも18人の中の誰かしかいないじゃない。
Right. The demon magic circle on the side of the storehouse. We're gonna go ahead and keep believing it's one of us. Of course. Tyrus denied the existence of a 19th person by spinning the chessboard around. Oh my goodness. We thought they figured it out. Even though Aunt Eva hadn't constructed an argument that complicated, her opinion at least was the same. Except, if that's the case, our situation starts to look very ugly. At the time of Beatrice's letter, the whole thing could be passed off as a prank set up by someone or another. However, if we're assuming there's no 19th person, we can't ignore this anymore. In other words,
19人目がいないなら、親父たちを殺した犯人も18人の中にいるってことになっちまうじゃないですか。
You know, I didn't get it at first. I was a little confused, but that line that talks about how the rest are gonna tear apart the two closest, I think it's starting to like connect the dots now. It's starting to make a little bit more sense what it's talking about. I really wasn't hoping it'd come down to this, but that's what it seems like it's building up to.
つまり、今この屋敷にいる誰かが殺したってことになる。
Yep, here we go. It's gonna be a long episode. Aunt Eva smiled meaningfully. It looks like she thought this conclusion should have been obvious from the very beginning.
犯人は倉庫の中に6人の遺体を運び込んだわ。
Idiots, I swear.
でもよく倉庫の中に運び込めたわよね。あのシャッターは常に閉められていて施錠されていたそうよ。つまり倉庫内に運び込むにはシャッターの施錠を開ける必要があった。
They would need the key to the lock on the shutter, right? They also would have had to been strong enough to carry all the bodies from the, assuming where it happened, guiding all the way down through the rose garden, through a path in the forest to the storehouse. Somehow without being detected at all.
わかる？
Like, you'd think with all of that presence in mind, and that on the table, you would start to think that, hey, maybe, just maybe, it's somebody else that's not here. But no, we're gonna keep thinking that this is an inside job. We're not gonna believe in the magical fairy godmother who did this.
たまたまその日、 シャッターが開けっぱなしになってた可能性は？
使用人たちは常に閉めていると言ってたわ。つまり鍵を使用人室から持ち出さなくては倉庫は絶対に開けられない。
鍵は使用人室の一つしかないんすかね？
源氏さんはそうだと言ってるわ。ということは犯人はそのたった一つの倉庫の鍵のありかを知っていて持ち出した。さっきカノン君が使用人室に鍵を戻すところを見たわ。壁にびっしりと鍵がかけられていて、とても素人にはどこに何がかけてあるのかわからなかった。
True.
犯人はその中から倉庫の鍵を見事選び出したのよ。しかも札も何もついていない鍵を手にしてバラ庭園裏にある倉庫の鍵だと理解した。ついでに言うと倉庫の場所すら理解していた。もっとはっきり断言するわ。犯人は使用人室の内部にも熟知している。
Argument was extremely plain and clear, and also made zero fucking sense. If the bodies had been found thrown somewhere in the bushes of the rose garden, there wouldn't have been much to go on. However, if there was only one key to the storehouse and a servant, and it was stored with such a large group of keys, a novice would not be able to tell them apart. This means the culprit was someone who went into the servant room a lot and was familiar with the location of the keys. The family members didn't normally go into the servant room, which meant that
ってことは使用人の誰かが犯人。
Oh, I hate this. I really hate where this is going.
悪いけどそれ以上はおばさんも言えないわよ。でも一つだけ教えられることがあるわ。
なんすか？
犯人たちは複数で、そして十分な武装をしていたと考えられるわ。
Really? Really, Eva?
だってそうでしょ。食堂にいた兄さんたち4人を一度に襲って殺し、合計6人分の遺体をようようとバラ庭園の向こうの倉庫まで運んで悪趣味な化粧と落書きを施している。
I don't know, she's making a lot of sense to me. I mean, she's making sense in the literal sense that, like, whoever did it, right, would have had to ambush them in the dining hall, or at least when they, like, picked them off, either one by one, on their way back to, like, their guest rooms or so, right? Commit the crime in the dining hall, wherever it was, and then drag it to the storehouse, right? All of that sure is true. How it was done, but the fact that, like, you want to think and say it was the servants just because they're the only ones who had access, supposedly only ones who had access to the servant room key to the storehouse, and the fact that the only two remaining, or sorry, I guess Kumasawa-san included, 3 remaining are Kanon and Genji, right? We're really going to put them, either one of them, as the culprits. Or shit, maybe both of them, since she said it was a group effort. I don't think that makes any sense. Just like literally knowing, physically, literally, she's explaining it, sure, but like realistically, it's not gonna be anybody here. Who in the fucking world would kill their own family?
これだけのことを単独犯で行えるはずもないでしょ。
It made sense. Oh my god. He's with you too. Great. It probably would have been possible for a single person with enough time, but it would also take so incredibly long. It's probably safe to assume that a significant number of people were involved. It's a significant number of people that it also is one of us did this. Because there's no possible way a 19th person exists. It just is impossible. It just couldn't. This is the type of shit like Parker rage baiting me with, I swear.
ってことはエヴァおばさんは
Don't say their names. Don't even speak their names.
使用人の人たちがみんなグルだろうって言ってんすか
Good God.
静かになさいな。憶測で言っちゃ悪いわよ。
Exactly.
それにもし本当にそうだったらどうするつもり？彼らは私たちを生かして返さないでしょうね。しかも兄さんたち4人をやすやすと殺した相手なのよ。今この部屋に残っていてまともに戦えそうな人間はうちの家族の3人にせいぜいバトラ君で4人ってところ。状況は昨晩と何も変わらない。つまり犯人にとって残る私たちを皆殺しにするなんて簡単なことなのよ。
I don't understand how they can play both sides of the coin here. Like, man, I don't know, man. It's like they both, or at least she does, understand or says that it's one of us that did this, that pulled it off. But at the same time, the only people I can trust are the ones who are still alive. Here. It's like pick one. Y'all either did it, or didn't. I've been playing detective with Aunt Eva, trying to expose the person who had killed Dad and the rest before the police did. If only I could cleverly penetrate the culprit's identity and stick the proof in their face. I'd been so sure that, just like one of those detective movies, the culprit would then give up and surrender. Childish. People died, and you're childish. However, the culprit would only surrender if there was no way for them to fight back. The culprits behind the crime on this island were far from helpless. And might even be able to massacre all the remaining people here. And on top of that, this island was like a giant closed room, cut off from the outside world by the typhoon. So they had a full day until tomorrow to kill, scheme, and camouflage themselves. In short, it wasn't a safe atmosphere where we could get very far by playing detective. To the contrary, we were at a stage where we had to be scared stiff, since playing detective might displease the culprits and cause them to commit another mass murder.
あくまでも可能性の問題よ。
Fuck no.
でも私は使用人の人たちをまだ信用できないのね。それに私は使用人だけを疑ってるわけじゃないわ。さらに黒幕がいるかもしれないと思ってるわよ。
Oh, what do you think? It's canon, the mastermind this entire time? Yeah.
黒幕？どうしてですか？
勘よ。使用人は書いて字のごとし、誰かに使用されて手足となる存在よ。殺されたのは後宮家の親族ばかり。
And two servants in that pile too. Let's definitely not forget those two.
ならその結果で利害が発生する人間が関わるのは当
Like,
然。
come the fuck on. Servants that would kill other servants and Ushiromiya family members. Like, how the hell does that just not seem fucking bizarre? This was also plain and clear. The Ushiromiya family had been right in the middle of discussions about how to distribute the inheritance when grandfather died. You know what, Beatrice? I think you were right. If this case followed the standard form of any classic mystery novel, crime is definitely caused by someone with ties to the Ushiromiya family who was involved in the inheritance problem. Aunt Eva had probably read a few books in the genre herself. Her argument may have had a few blind assumptions in it, but it was a standard conclusion that anyone might have reached. I think most people would end up suspecting the servants, even if they used different reasoning to get there. Especially the story about the key to the shuttle. It made it very easy to suspect that one of the servants was involved.
だからなぜか気に入らねえんすよね。
気に入らないって何の話？
あ、いえいえ、こっちの話っす。
They need to take this theme off. They are not cooking. I tried to dodge the question by joking, but I couldn't erase the sense of unease welling up inside me. After all, her conclusion was such an easy one to reach. A conclusion that anyone could reach. Fucking peanut brains, exactly. A conclusion that any peanut brain could reach. They should say. I just couldn't be satisfied with that. I'm not satisfied with it either. If I tried spinning the chessboard around like I had learned through Kairi's side, this is exactly why a servant couldn't possibly be the culprit. Oh! Oh, we can believe that now. If the servants really were the culprits, they wouldn't hide the body. It's connected to themselves. Oh, okay. You know what? Hold on. Maybe there's still time to redeem themselves. Okay. Let me hear what he has to say. Why on earth would they use the Rose Garden shit if they were the ones in charge of the key that could unlock it? Right? Okay. We're spinning the hamster wheel again? The police would probably immediately pursue whoever had been in control of the key. It was even possible that some other facts might come to light as a result. The more we think of the servants as the culprits, the less reason they had to carry the bodies into the storehouse. But what if they knew, that we would think that and put the corpses in the storehouse for that very... Okay. Alright, well... Now let's find my lassie. And we're so back? No, that's completely impossible? When the police come and inspect the scene of the crime, they'll probably be able to uncover many things. No matter how carefully the culprits carried out that murder, some traces will definitely be found. In other words, they had everything to lose and nothing to gain. If you think about it this way and look at this murder game from the culprit's side, it's hard to imagine why they'd want to call attention to the corpses. Once the corpses were found, it could result in someone sending a report to the police, or it might make the remaining people more cautious, or it might make the survivors start to search for the culprit. None of these things would make life any easier for the culprit. It's just like the words of the main character's mother in a novel recently called No Fucking Way. Wow. What a great and interestingly random novel that they just referenced. Higurashi no Naku Koro ni. Say that again. Everyone should go read this. Everyone should go read this. This randomly inserted novel. Higurashi no Naku Koro ni. Every story needs to have a beginning, a middle, and an end. Eliminating that beginning is essential for the perfect crime. Also, I'm just gonna randomly say, fuck Satoshi. Right now, we don't know where Grandfather is. We don't know if he's already become a victim or he's one of the culprits. But this state of confusion must be beneficial to the killer. Satoshi was Satoshi. That's what they did. Satoshi was Satoshi. Listen, I don't want to go back down the entire route and storyline of what he had done. But y'all ready, you know. Anime only's Sai. Like, I mean, I gotta go back and still read it anyways, but like, it's still not that far off. I don't think it's that far off. The culprit has absolutely nothing to gain by showing us the bodies in such an obvious way and making us all realize there's been a murder. In fact, this is the perfect place to spin the chessboard around. In other words, Well, showing us the corpses in such a... Actually, it must be the culprit's goal in and of itself. That was weird. So at the very least, to the culprit, the appearance of 6 corpses there meant more than the deaths themselves. In other words, the culprit wanted this murder on display. To whom? To us. This is a message. Culprit's trying to shove something in our faces. Does this look like a fake command seal, or am I tripping? I don't know what it is. At this point in time, this vulgar mass murder isn't making me feel anything except the malice directed towards all of us. Malice towards All of us. Is it? Beatrice, I know this is only the first night, but you've really outdone yourself here. I gotta hand it to you. Each one of the survivors has some kind of connection to one of the 6 victims. Death brought Jessica the grief of losing a family member. The death of Dad and Kaori-san brought me sorrow, while Aunt Rosa's death brought Maria sorrow. What? I mean, what? Did it really? Did it really, though? I don't recall her being very sorrowful, you know, when she found out. Goto-san's death probably shocked his fellow servants. And Shinichi's death brought grief both to George Aniki, who had proposed to her, and Kanin-kun, who had loved her like an older sister. Everyone now on this island has received an equal amount of sadness. We're just gonna skip the connection with Eva and Hideyoshi, how they lost a family member. Right. Anio was sure that the servants were in cahoots. But then, how could you explain the death of Goto-san and Shinichi? That's what I said. Like, what? Fucking 5-10 minutes ago. At any rate, by this argument, grief caused by the 6 deaths hit. I'm not gonna say what was in my head. Alright. Everyone but Aunt Eva. You know, I did say this. I did say this. Like, it's still very obviously not them. It's still not. But like at the same time, right? Don't you find it a little odd? I'm telling you, I can't confirm how they're gonna be connected or involved in the next Twilight, right? But I know they are. I think I've already mentioned my theory like a couple of times now, but like I think they're next. Aren't they just being little sussy bakas? I mean, maybe? Definitely a little sussy, and they were acting pretty baka earlier. We'll have to keep a close eye on those two. Even Aunt Eva, who had directed suspicion of the servants and acted as though she herself was beyond suspicion, could not be ruled out as a suspect. Right. Damn, Beatrice, I don't know how do you fucking do it? It's like you just knew this shit was gonna happen. That's crazy. That's so crazy. In the first place, she was able to argue that the servants were suspicious by focusing on the shutter's key. But if you look at it from a perspective of motive and who would gain, spinning the chessboard, Aunt Eva's name rises to the top of the list. Oh, I thought the shit was
バ
frozen.
トラ君が何を考えてるかおばさんわかるわよ。
You're thinking that me, the mixed martial artist's mother, probably took care of them, and that Hideyoshi carried the bodies, didn't he?
What? 嫌だな。
She's on to you.
内緒にしててくださいよ。あ あんなことやこんなことで頭をいっぱいにしてたなんて。
I think this is a new theme.
私がこの殺人で一番得をする。どうせ疑われるだろうから先に自己申告しておくわ。
Try to dodge the issue by joking around, but apparently it didn't work. Yeah. I mean, they knew. They already knew. Y'all knew. There was no point in dodging it.
遺産は兄弟の数で分割する。でも今や4兄弟は私一人。後宮家の全財産はすべて私のものになるの。
秀吉おじさんが聞いたら、予算か言えばシャレにならんっていうところっすね。
He would. It's a very Hideyoshi thing.
ごめんね。どう取り繕ったってどうせ疑われるだろうからふざけただけよ。だからこの殺人は私の立場から見れば私を疑わせるためのものではないかと思ってるの。困ったことに昨べのアリバイは弱いわ。
聞かせてもらってもいいっすか？昨べのことを。
バトラ君たちも知っている通り、兄弟が遺産をどう食いちぎり合うかという話し合いは深夜まで続いたわ。でも何時まで続いたかは知らない。
Yeah, it's kind of funny how no one does. And especially the other people who were involved can't speak up for it either. So, we only have their two words to go off of. These two people. Coincidentally.
私と主人は朝が早かったからね。もう眠くて24時を過ぎたあたりで抜けさせてもらったの。そしてゲストハウスに戻って休んだわ。
それを秀吉おじさん以外の誰かに証明できるっすか？いやいや、別にエヴァおばさんを疑ってるわけじゃないっすよ。
あら、どうだか。
She's not even like stressed about it. Not stressed, not pressed, not nothing. She knows how it looks.
証明になるかわからないけれど、ゲストハウスに戻ってきたとき、源氏さんに出迎えを受けてタオルはいるかと聞かれたわ。だから私たちがゲストハウスに戻ってきた時間は24時過ぎだと証明してくれると思うわよ。
Yeah, save your statement for the police.
もっとも、私の仮説通り、使用人たちもグルなのだとしたら、こんなのアリバイにならないけどね。
確かにそうっすね。ってことは、俺、今、真犯人と推理ごっこをしてるってことになるんすか？
でも私の名誉のために言わせてもらうけど、遺産目当てだったならこんな変な殺人はしないわよ。
Oh no, of course.
だって遺産相続権を喪失させるだけならどんな死に方だって構わない。
Okay, so you're saying that you wouldn't commit such a bizarre set of murders, but you're still saying that they would have to die somehow. We're not going to ignore the fact that they still would have had to die in the end in order to forfeit their rights. Like as if there's no other way.
むしろ事故死に見せかけた方がスマートでしょ。
I don't don't think it's a good idea to keep going. I mean, you're just putting fuel in the fire.
使用人たちを抱き込んで周到に計画していたなら、なおさらそうするでしょうよ。
確かにそうっすね。営利で人を殺すなら、それは常に殺人に見せるべきではない。
そういうことよ。
Turn the chessboard around. Here's the black and white of the chessboard, right? We have the servants. Of the ones that are remaining alive, right? Kanon and Genji. They would have to be the ones who either one of them or both of them killed the family members after their last night's discussion. Either in the dining hall, wherever it actually happened. Because remember, there's blood on one of the doors upstairs. Then drag them through the rose garden, unlock the shutter, put them in the shutter, mutilated the corpses as per described, right? Closed it, then came back to report it to Natsui? Report their own crime to Natsui, right? Then the other side of it is it's Iba and Hideyoshi who did it. Either, I don't know, I guess sometime after the discussion as well, right? Lured them one by one, or I don't know, as a group, however they did it, right? Did the same exact thing, except for one of them had to get the key from the servant's room. Had to know what it looks like too, by the way. Dragged them past the rose garden, through the forest, to the storehouse, did what they did to the corpses, and then came back. Both sides of the chessboard don't make any sense, the way that they are playing this. It would be so much easier if they just accepted Beatrice into their heart.
だからおばさんは今からとてもブルーな気持ちなわけ。警察には黒幕扱いされて散々調べられるでしょうね。やだやだ。
Anya shrugged with a bitter smile. Also, I don't want to meet the motherfucker in here that is able to brutally mutilate and just rearrange their faces the way that they were described, and then come back here with a straight face and just tell everybody. Or to put on the quote-unquote performance of how sad they were at the storehouse if it really was one of them. How the fuck do you do that? It was just as easy to suspect Aunt Eva as it was to suspect the servants. But apparently not easy enough to suspect that it really was Beatrice. Nope. Couldn't have. Oh, here you go, Kark. Here's your chessboard moment. Does that make it impossible for the culprit to be her, suspicious as she is? However, if that sort of argument always works, then motive can never help us in any way. No, that can't be right. Knowing the motive must give us powerful clues towards knowing the culprit. That's why murderers from all time periods disguise crimes in complicated ways, cleverly preventing their motives from being discovered. I don't get it. You don't get it because you're not willing to fucking believe in the unknown. Just don't get it. I don't know, man. Like, I understand this is like how things are supposed to go, right? This is all part of this is all part of the plan. This is exactly how it's supposed to go, just story-wise and interaction-wise. I get it. I get it. We're building up to the top, right? Come the fuck on. How long is it gonna take before they realize it's part of the fucking riddle? Like, it's... Oh my god, dude. It's slowly getting to me how much, like, copium this is. Every time I spin the chessboard around, it keeps flipping from front to back. My thoughts bringing me closer to the truth? Fuck no. Or are they? How many times is he gonna spin it? That's what I'm saying. He's doing tricks on it right now, and none of them are gonna fucking get it. But you know what? If this is all part of Beatrice's plan anyways, then maybe it was meant to be. Fuck it. Let them tear each other apart. As long as Maria is the last one standing. We lost Shannon, who was my first choice. So now the backup is Maria. Aunt Eva didn't want to talk to anyone. Or didn't want to talk any more than that. So I folded my arms and headed to the window to cool my head. I looked over the parlor. I saw George, Anaki, and the others gathered, talking. It looked like they were talking about that magic circle that had been painted onto the shutter. Maria Victory Royale. That's right. #1 Victory Royale. Everyone really dropped down at the Ushiromiya mansion, and it's just been a fucking battle royale since then. As Uncle Hideyoshi thought back to that time, he started drawing a shape in the margins of Maria's notebook. I see. Since Maria was second only to grandfather in knowledge of the occult, she might understand what it meant. It's a good place to start.
多分こんな感じだったと思うで。十字架をアレンジしたみたいなマークが書かれとったんや。そしてこんな感じで外周の円を取り囲むように妙な文字がびっしり書き込まれていて、十字架の上下左右の辺とその四隅にも何か書かれていたんや。アルファベットとかそういうのとちゃうで。あれはよく言う古代文字とかいうやつや。
あと円周部の頂点に小さなマークがありましたな。小さな丸を5つ十字状に並べ、それぞれを直線で結んだようなマークでした。
ああ、確かにそんなのも書いてあったで。うん、図形的には間違いなくこれや。細かい文字はわからんが、配列はほぼ同じや。
Everyone was staring down at the shape, so I stared down at it too. This shit right here, man. From what I heard, this had been painted on the shutter to the storehouse with some material that looked like blood. I see. This sure is unsettling.
こんなわけのわかんねえもんを描きたがるのはじいさまだけだろ。
I think the only kind of shape or symbol I recognize there is, I think the big cross, the curved cross in the middle, wasn't that like the Red Baron's symbol? Like the symbol for the Red Baron? I highly doubt it's connected and or the same thing, but I feel like it's like a similar shape.
まったく、どこに行っちまったんだ。とっ捕まえて意味を聞き出してやりたいぜ。
Jessica's voice contained impatience and anger. She hadn't gone so far to say grandfather was the culprit. She seemed sure that grandfather knew something about the culprit's background. I swear that shit is like on the, it's like on the tail end of a World War II plane. Or something else. Maybe it's a church symbol. Of course, if he was searching for a link connecting the Ushiromiya family to the occult, 10 out of 10 people would think of grandfather. Also, to a person who knew nothing of the occult, this strange mark would have no meaning. Which meant that this might have been something addressed to grandfather. That's right. And the reason the crime was shown to the survivors was so they'd find this. In that case, grandfather, the essential recipient of this message, disappeared off to.
こんな図形に何か心当たりはあるかい？
Think long and hard, Maria. Does it ring any bells?
うーん
Maria looked at the shape of the serious face. Really put on her thinking crown. Maybe she was enthusiastic because this was her area of expertise. However, her appearance was that of someone separated from the events at hand. As though this thing hadn't been drawn on the shutter closed around her mother's corpse. Still, just randomly kind of chill about it, I guess.
僕の第一印象ではどこか外国の従事者
Holy shit, I'm not fucking crazy. I knew it, dude. I fucking knew it. Okay, so I'm not crazy. I'm not fucking crazy. I knew it, dude. I literally said this.
ああ、確かにこんなデザインや。ということはそのどこぞの国と何か関係があるんか？
その国の従事省はもともと聖地巡礼者を守るための騎士修道士たちの紋章だったそうですな。
Oh, I thought it was related to the Red Baron. Maybe not. But I knew it was German.
つまりこの魔法陣には宗教的な意味があるってことかよ。ますますにちんぷんかんぷんだぜ。
When I looked over at all of them, preparing to jump into the discussion, something shocked me. What? Oh. Okay, I was not expecting that. Maria was smiling, an eerie and incomprehensible expression in her face. A slight Maria jump scare. It was almost as if she was making fun of everyone's ignorance. It was an expression I wouldn't have dreamed to find on Maria's face. And, oh. And she laughed? That eerie, jarring laugh was something I didn't want to believe was possible, even though I was looking at it right in front of my eyes. Is that Beatrice's silhouette in there? What the fuck? Oh! What the fuck? Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay. That's what Kark was waiting for. I see now.
全然違うよみんな。
Holy shit! What did they do to her?
こんなの見てわかんないかな。
What the fuck? I don't like this. I hate how it's full screen. I don't like this. While everyone was busy being scared out of their wits, including myself right now, Maria kept on cackling happily by herself. After a while, that laugh was suddenly and abruptly cut off. But her expression still looked like it belonged to someone completely different from Maria.
これは太陽の7の魔法陣だよ。
The seventh magic circle of the sun. Okay. That definitely needs to be noted somewhere. I'm totally gonna forget. Oh, thank God, back to normal sprite at least.
書かれてる文字はヘブライ語。
The character's written in Hebrew. Oh, I didn't know what to guess Hebrew.
貸して。
Yeah, well, we're just gonna listen to her right now. Maria stole the writing materials from the stunned Ryoshi's hand. She then started drawing another magic circle, the Russell, right next to the one Hideyoshi had drawn.
ね
Oh god, it's that smug face. No, yeah, she really did say, give me that shit. You wrote it all wrong. All the Hebrews fucked up. You misspelled it. This cross ain't even good. Like, she's pissed. Give me that shit.
こんな図形だったんじゃないかな
That's kind of insane how it feels like Beatrice is like always watching, and then when she needs to, she just randomly steps in as Maria. Dude, what if Maria is Beatrice? Wouldn't that be fucking insane?
マリアすごいな。さすが詳しいぜ。
Jessica tried to smooth things over by praising Maria. Maybe she wanted to confirm that this was still the Maria we all knew so well. But Maria didn't answer her in any way, in any particular. Maria began swiftly writing unfamiliar characters in the corners of the shape. When Uncle Hideyoshi and Dr. Nanjo saw them, their eyes immediately began to open wide. She could be in this very room. She could be you. She could be me. She could even be in this chat room. Looks at the chat.
天地と左右に書かれているのは風化水道を司る天使たちの名
My bad. Should have known. It was Ariama's all along. What the fuck are these words and these names? Hello? The names of the angels who preside over wind, fire, earth, and water. Chasa, Autumn, Thorlock, and Taliaha? Probably butchered the fuck out of that.
そして斜め四方には4代の王たちの名
Names of the four great kings.
アリエル、セラフ、タルシス、ケルブ
What the fuck does any of this mean?
合ってる
Even if they hadn't been able to correctly write what they had seen, when they were once again shown something identical, it wasn't difficult for them to realize the two were the same. When Maria asked them whether it matched, Uncle Hideyoshi and Dr. Nanjo nodded over and over again.
間違いないそうや確かにこんな文字が書かれとったなんでこんなん書けるんやあと演習部にも文字が書かれておりましたな
わかってるよ
Maria quickly began to surround the circumference with more Hebrew writing.
旧約聖書の詩編第116編の16節と17節だよ
God damn, this shit getting really religious really quick. It's from Psalms of the Old Testament, the 16th and 17th verses of the 116th Psalm. The only psalm I know is Psalm 42. And I don't even know what it means. It was just a song that we had to play in my 8th grade band.
聖書くらい読んでなきゃ。
Yeah. Bible readers in the chat? Any Bible readers, right? Fuck when a 9-year-old Japanese girl knows more Bible than you. Right. What am I doing with my life? I'm sitting here in my apartment reading Umineko to people. Acting as though knowing this was only common sense, Marielle laughed. For a while, everyone, including me, was at a loss for words. A little later, George Haneke returned to his senses and slowly managed to speak.
すごいね。驚いたよ。それで、この魔法陣にはどんな意味があるんだい？
太陽の力を借りる魔法陣だよ。
To just casually borrow from the power from the sun? What? You could just do that?
黄金で描き、護符にして身につけたる者はいかなる牢獄であろうとも、束縛から逃れ、自由を得られる力を授けられる。
束縛から逃れ自由を得られる。意味深だぜ。
この束縛という意味は何も肉体的なものだけを指さないと解釈されている。だから縛られて牢屋にいる人ばかりに意味があるわけじゃないよ。
Oh, I mean, well, duh. I knew that.
しがらみや逃れ得ぬ運命など、精神的な束縛からの解放も意味してるんだよ。
しがらみや逃れ得ぬ運命か。これまた意味深だな。
しかしさっぱりわからん。それとあの6人の遺体とどんな関係があるっちゅうんや。束縛からの解放どころか殺された上に倉庫に閉じ込められてたんやで。
別にその6人のために魔法陣が描かれてるわけじゃないね。魔法陣のために6人はそこにいるんでしょう。
Oh. Oh, that's more fun.
お気の毒だよ。
Oh, what a cherry on top. This isn't the Maria I know. I don't believe in it.
どういう意味だい？魔法陣のために6人がいるってのは一体。
Maria lifted up her pointer finger and waggled it as if she were making fun of us.
それは演習部に書いてるよ。読めないかな。詩編第116編16節と17節。読んであげるよ。
Yeah, thank you. I don't read the Bible.
主は私の枷を解かれました。私はあなたに感謝の生贄を捧げ、主の皆を呼ぶでしょう。
Wait, what? Hold on. I will offer to you the sacrifice of thanksgiving and will call on the name of the Lord? That can't mean the Thanksgiving that we know about, right? Sacrifice of thanksgiving and will call on the name of the Lord?
ねって何を言ってるのかさっぱりだぜ。
生贄だってのか。
Yeah. Yeah. You know, if only there was like a certain, I don't know, riddle or like epitaph, you know, that said this, that could have warned you, could have told you ahead of time. I don't know. If only there was like some forewarning that there was going to be sacrifices. But what do I know, right? If what Maria had just read aloud was a vital part of the magic circle, then it was saying that sacrifices had to be offered in order for this magic circle to be effective. So, human sacrifices had been offered inside the storehouse where the magic circle had been drawn. A heartbeat later, everyone else seemed to reach the same conclusion. Some people were shocked and others spat out that this was insane as they clenched their knees. This was starting to get incredibly disturbing. As if it wasn't before? And we couldn't accept it or understand it. I don't care what kind of magic circles or curses other people believe in. I won't pick a fight with them. But did they really kill Dad and the rest of the sacrifices for crap like that? I just couldn't stand that feeling. Compared to this, I preferred it when we were still disgusted by that theory about the fight over the inheritance. As I started getting pissed off at the feeling between anger and sadness, I broke from the circle everyone was in and returned once again to the window. Something had gone insane since yesterday. There was that letter from the witch, Beatrice, that Maria had read aloud at last night's dinner. Ever since that point, it feels like like this whole mansion and this whole island have been getting more and more firmly locked inside, like some kind of bizarre world. That's right. You know, when I think back on it, that letter was an invitation from the witch. The ruler of Nighttime Island had invited us inhabitants of the day into another world. You know, the phone and the radio had been interrupted and the island was shut off by the typhoon. So you could really, call this place another world, cut off from the real one by now. Yeah. Yeah, as this island is now, it's perfectly normal for a witch to send us letters and for human sacrifices to be offered up for the sake of magic circles. So, what will happen next? Read the fucking riddle. Will some weird people wearing goat masks start doing the Pawn Festival dance or something? The ignorance is insufferable. It's hopeless. It's hopeless. I don't get it. The inside of my head's all screwed up. I don't even know what to think. Anger, sadness, opposing emotions all rolled up together. They started to suck me in. Unable to resist. Could do nothing but cover my eyes with hands. Trust to my mind and body as I started getting sucked in. It's hopeless. It's hopeless to think of what will happen next because there's no written riddle or passage that explains what happens next. There just isn't. As I started losing heart, I began to recall a memory from when I was small. It was from when I was very young. I had unfortunately seen a scary occult movie on TV. And for a while, I hadn't even been able to go to the bathroom by myself. That old bastard gave an exaggerated laugh and said this.
なあバトラ、どうして悪魔だのオカルトだのってのをわざわざこうして映画にすると思う？ねえからだよ。そんな滑稽なもんは 地球のどこにもねえのさ。
How ironically fitting.
ねえからわざわざ見たくて作るんだよ。だから俺はオカルト映画なんてちゃんちゃらおかしくて笑っちまうってんだ。
That's why those occult movies just make me laugh.
俺に言わせりゃ悪魔やら妖怪やらより今年度の収支報告や機嫌を悪くした女房の方が1億倍も怖えってもんだぜ。さらに言うぜ。俺に言わせりゃな。怖がるってのは心と生活にゆとりのある連中の娯楽的感情なのさ。
Getting scared is a recreational emotion. Something for people who've got room to relax both in their hearts and their lifestyles.
暇で暇でしょうがないから。連中は変わった感情で心を遊ばせたくて、悪魔だの、オカルトだのって文化を作り出したんだよ。
Seriously, why have I been acting like so damn thick-headed? I was totally taken in. Oh, this is a new theme. Okay. Interesting. Don't try to mess with me. This is the human world. I don't give a damn about witches, demons, magic circles, and sacrifices. Oh my. The human who killed Dad and everyone else is still on this island. Damn, dude. We almost fucking had him. Almost fucking had him, man. And then he just went back to this shit. God damn it, dude. It really started to look like he was coming around. That's all there is to it. Right? Right. Not a single drop of whimsy in that man's body. None. The next person who started speaking to my heart was Kairi-san.
チェスや将棋ってね、終盤の終盤、詰めの最後の段階に入れば入るほど最善手は限られてくるのよ。だから自分が追い詰めている、あるいは追い詰められているというその時、両者の手は限りなく読みやすくなるのよ。つまり完全に追い詰められて打つ手なしって思ったその時こそ最も読みやすい瞬間なのよ。でも守勢に立った人間はどうしても考えが固くなって相手の手を読むことにまで考えが至らない。そういう時はね、チェス盤をひっくり返すの。
With all my strength, I slapped my face with both hands. Now, my eyes were truly open. His third Tien eye. When you don't understand anything and you're completely cornered just like I am now, isn't that the perfect time to spin the chessboard around? While on the defensive, we can't even guess corporate scheme. If we spin it around and look at it that way, just what might we see? First off, at the time the culprit committed the murders, they knew the island was being cut off by the typhoon. Therefore, they should have understood that even if they carried out the murders, they wouldn't be able to get away, early the next morning. In short, the culprit had begun without securing a way to escape. Furthermore, that bastard tossed the corpses in a storehouse. then was even kind enough to say, here they are, with that weird bit of graffiti. In other words, since we'd probably find the corpses sooner or later, they wanted to show them to us. If we'd all been dim and hadn't noticed the sword shape, the corporate's goal would not have been achieved, would it? If you think about it this way, that bastard of a culprit. Well, since this morning, they must have been watching every move with bated breath. After all, we hadn't been so kind as to discover what was on the storehouse. All of that hard work and preparation they did last time would have just gone poof. What did the culprit want us to feel by showing us the corpses in the storehouse? All 6 of the bodies had their faces noticeably destroyed. Was it a grudge? A warning? The defacement of the bodies had occurred after death. So it hadn't been the means by which the culprit had killed. It didn't mean anything to those who had been killed. It did have meaning to those who found the bodies. The culprit wanted to make it appear that they had been killed so brutally. Huh. You know, after thinking this way, I really want to tell that bastard to stop taking me so lightly. Who just danced to that tune? If you're told, please be scared, you can't just really say, sure. Really? When someone tells the great Ushiromiya battler, oh god. The great Ushiromiya battler, the entrance is right here, I'm the kind of guy who will start wanting to sneak in through the window. Is this his form of copium? Dealing with loss? The next thing that had me concerned was that so-called magic circle in the shutter. As Maria, who had shown that her knowledge of the occult rival grandfathers, had recognized, that magic circle was genuine. They must have drawn that thing in pitch black darkness, taking a lot of time and holding an umbrella in one hand. Isn't that amount of hard work and perfectionism impressive? What purpose would have been all that work effort? If we were looking for a fan of the occult in this mansion, most likely, all of us would naturally suspect Grandfather. Did they want to make us think Grandfather was involved? But, you know, if that's all they wanted, they could have just drawn any old scribble that looked like a magic circle. It isn't like any of us amateurs would be able to tell the difference between genuine and fake. However, this magic circle was genuine, and furthermore, it had been even written in Hebrew. So this magic circle had a message that could only be understood by someone with knowledge of the occult. A message is a form of communication. By sending it, they were hoping for a reaction. A reaction? For some reason, we couldn't find Grandfather. I don't know how Grandfather might have spotted the magic circle and shut it. But did he choose to hide himself in reaction to that? No. Was it a trap to make us suspect that Grandfather had participated? Now, you can read it either way. Damn, it's annoying. What kind of reaction was the culprit hoping to get by putting on this occult shit? Somehow, that felt like the culprit's weak point. The letter from Beatrice that Maria had read aloud during last night's dinner sprang back into my mind. This was that freak asked us to enjoy a battle of wits. Well, isn't that interesting? This is a battle of wits between us and the witch. Will we be sucked up by her occult game first? Or will we pull off her fake skin first? Find out on the next stream of Umineko! Oh. Oh, she just didn't work. Anyways. There's a whole day until the typhoon passes. Why not enjoy ourselves? Shit. I'd like to think that he's finally coming around. Hopefully, maybe. And he acknowledged the witch again, so. Looks like, alright. We got about 20 more minutes. We'll see what we can get done during that. I finally noticed that the inside of the parlor had gone quiet again. Everyone had sunk into their favorite sofas, some deep in thought. Some irritated, some acting depressed. Maria was once again enjoying the TV as if she had never left it. It looked like she found the commercials more fun than the boring program. She happily yelled, "Ooh, ooh," and giggled. Stared at each person's appearance in turn. There isn't a 19th person. The culprit must be in this room. This very room. What Battler doesn't know is that Ariana's already confessed, so... Is it those two? Or is it these two? Was it Nacho all along? Or sweet little Maria? Or could it be myself? Right now, Aunt Natsu is searching the mansion with the servants, right? We shouldn't say in this room. We should say in this mansion. Like I read this before. In this mansion is where the culprit has to be. You know, after all, it's possible Aunt Natsu. But we still can't deny that one of the servants might be the killer. Anyone could be guilty. Shit, even myself. Still, Aunt Natsu and the rest sure are taking their time. Now, of course, it's, you know, it's not a small mansion. But isn't this taking a little too long just to walk around, checking the windows and doors? Just as I was thinking this, Aunt Natsui and the rest returned. Not one of them was missing. But our relief was short-lived. Uh-oh. Everyone looked at Aunt Natsui in shock. The talk I'd had with Aunt Eva started to creep back into my mind. The possibility that the culprits had enough in numbers or weapons to kill all those 6 at once. Whoa! Okay, I see why he's shocked now. Hey, wait. Hey, where'd you get that from? Pause. Holy shit. She's not fucking around. Is that shit actually loaded? Holy shit. This is really what we resorted to. She's gonna start blasting. That's right. Look, chat's locked and loaded. I like how y'all stay strapped in here. After all, that thing in on Natsui's hand was a rifle. She even used that before? At a glance, its silhouette looked a lot like a hunting gun. But it was unusually short. Kind of looked like a kid-sized weapon. However, it had weightiness to it that made it clear it was no kid's toy.
それは金蔵さんの銃ですな。
ご存知でしたか？そうです。
Why is she smiling holding that gun? That's a little weird.
お父様の古いコレクションの中にあったことを思い出し、探し出してきました。
ひゅー、すっげえ。夏日おばさん、それ本物なんすか？
ええ、本物です。実弾を発砲できますよ。
It holds live ammunition. A gun is holding live ammunition. Can you believe it?
昔お父様は野鳥を追い払うのに使ったりしていました。
あら懐かしい。どこから出てきたんやら。私がいくら触らせてって言っても指一本触れさせてくれなかったやつよ。
I mean, good. It's not a toy.
へえ。じいさま、こんなの持ってたんですか？知らなかったですよ。
お父様は昔西部劇にどっぷり使ってたことがあってね。
Hey, a man of taste. If you're gonna love anything Western, it better be cowboy shit. That's what I'm talking about.
あの世代はこういうライフル銃が大好きなのよ。
So what is it, like a Winchester?
結構年季の入った銃のようですね。
Holy shit! No way! Damn, I'm good.
でもこんな短い仕様のは初めて見ました。
ああ、
Shit, he actually said Winchester.
思い出したわ、その銃。
Oh? Hideyoshi?
懐かしいな。昔好きやった映画のガンマンが派手にぶっ放しとったやつだわ。
Steam McQueen in Wanted Dead or Alive. Is that a real thing?
お父さんも渋いな。
親方様がだいぶ昔にアメリカより特別にお取り寄せになられたものです。ご覧の通り実銃ですので、どうかこの件はご内密にお願いいたします。
手に入れられたばかりの頃は大層気に入られておりまして、撃つより薬莢を出す動作が面白いらしくて、裏の森でいろいろとかっこつけて遊んでおられたもんですよ。
Oh, he was just interested. Oh, okay, okay. So what is it, like a lever action then? If he was interested in the workings that ejected the cartridges, I'm guessing it's like a lever action. Lever action guns are cool. I love the lever action style.
しかし物騒ね。
Could you imagine Kinzo in a cowboy hat? Hold on. You know what? I think I could see it. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna be honest with y'all. He kind of got that shit on. Like, I kind of actually wish I had this fit. I could like do this in like FF or something. Cause he kind of really got that shit on. And I think if you added like a cowboy hat to this, I think it would be peak. He's kind of drippy, exactly. Exactly though. Yeah, no, I could see it. I don't really think anybody else can rock it. It just doesn't fit anybody else. Let me save while I'm here.
そんなものまで持ち出しちゃうのかしら。
万が一に備えてです。
Oh, I just looked at the gun again. Yeah, that's definitely a leverage.
族はおそらく一人ではないでしょう。
So this means at some point now, like either during the night, like another night, we're probably gonna hear a gun go off.
しかも主人たちを6人も殺した恐ろしい相手です。私には主人に代わって皆さんを明日まで守る義務がありますので。
Kusan said this. She slumped down into one of the sofas and took a deep breath. She'd been trying to find Grandfather, as well as check the doors and windows. Since Grandfather wasn't with her, she probably still didn't know where he was.
屋敷内の戸締まりは厳重に確認してきました。ですが、万が一ということもあります。
I don't think you can prepare for Beatrice to literally just float through the walls. Pretty sure she can no-clip this whole mansion.
みんな、なるべくここに一緒にいた方がいいでしょう。
そうね。ここに全員が集まって相互監視をしている方が安心だわ。
それはどういう意味ですか、エヴァさん。
別に。
Of course, nothing.
夏日姉さんの意見に賛成しただけよ。
There was a stormy atmosphere between the two of them. Yeah, shit's been going on like since they landed on the island. If you think about who was the most suspicious from the inheritance problem standpoint, Aunt Eva was the obvious answer. However, there was no proof that Aunt Nathalie was innocent. No, if you view Beatrice's letter as one of Grandfather's complicated pranks, and think of this crime as just an extension of that, there's more than enough reason to suspect even Grandfather. Oh, even Grandfather. Also, Aunt Nathalie thought the criminal was on the outside. But Aunt Eva thought the criminal was on the inside. In short, it was the question of whether or not a 19th person exists. You know, this session today has really been like the reinstating factor of why this is the questions arc. This has definitely been a questions arc session. That same question has been repeatedly endlessly since last night's dinner with the letter from which called herself Beatrice. So was the culprit among us. Or not. And did the witch Beatrice exist? Or not? Beatrice is sus. I saw her vent through the mansion and kill 6 people. Umineko? Neko us? I don't know. Among Us. I think Among Us is better. If you assume that something as stupid as a witch can exist, you're basically saying that one of these relatives here who share a common bloodline is the culprit. If that was too unpleasant, it'd be much more comfortable to simply accept the fairy tale-like character of the witch. A witch? A witch drawing a bizarre magic circle and offering human sacrifices. If I could accept that rubbish, I'd be able to trust all the people in this room. Man, if only it was that fucking easy, huh? Just accept that the witch exists and she did this. It's like he's literally saying that's too easy. He has to make things difficult. Need water. God damn, dude. Fucking the house. However, damn common sense got in the way. That damn common sense. Kept repeating that witches don't exist. In that case, the culprit must be Among Us. Which illusion destroyed by facts and logic? Checkmate liberals. Right. Because believing in the witch's whimsy and illusions is just beyond these people altogether. Like it's impossible. I cannot believe it. And I hate how much they are gripping on to facts and logic. It's only because I know that this is a VN and I know that magical and paranormal shit happens, that it bothers me. But I have to think about it and I have to remember they don't know they're in a VN. This is real life and this is a real world to them. So they're gonna treat it as such. They don't know what the fuck, Umineko is or any of this. This is their own world. And I keep forgetting that. It's just annoying. They're acting as normal real people should. And I'm just mad at that because I know what happens. I know how this is gonna go. In the middle of the seemingly endless rain, none of us could break the cycle. Oh, shit, okay. I mean, I'll use that. Well. Folks, I have something at 9, fortunately. Some planned events. So it gives me about 20 minutes. Seeing as that how is a kind of a normal transition break there, I'm gonna go ahead and use that as a sign. I don't want to potentially get cut off in the middle of something new anyways, so gotta go ahead and save it there. Of course, as always, good prog, learned a lot of info, got through a good bit of context and lore, got some more insight on the magical circle, and now the real game of Clue begins. Questions. What's gonna happen? Thank you for stream, Mr. Lake. No problem. You know what? Since you guys are such a special and specific crowd for this as well, I'm gonna whip up something special for you guys next Thursday. I'm gonna work on something this weekend. I got an idea. Next Thursday, I got an idea for something. It just be like a little something just for the Thursday chat. But alright, Till then, GG's, everyone. GG's. Good night, and I'll be back tomorrow, same time. Y'all have a good one.